And welcome back to the weekly Icarus Patchnote discussion. It's gonna be a discussion again this week because Carl is there, so I'm gonna switch over to Discord. Hey my man, how you doing? Welcome back.
Good, and good in you, and thank you. Uh,
I'm doing fine. It's weekend,
good,
so
yes.
new update, and
Well, I just
we're
got
gonna
to
do
the up.
gameplay afterwards.
Yeah, the problem is that I just saw the patch notes, and then for some reason it disappeared again. So I need to go to the store page again, and then go to Icarus again, and then 178, and then I have to click. Okay, here it is. Perfect. So I have
You
it.
got it?
So I'm ready. Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. Right. So week 178. Solo pause with multiplayer hitboxes and some more info. Now we have added a true solo pause feature along with improvements to multiplayer hitboxes and some fixes to deep ore duplication. We're excited to roll out a long requested solo play pause feature. This is a true pause, stopping all aspects of gameplay. Now, this is a significant quality of life improvement for solo players, and we know how important it is when life pulls you away mid-session. We also have a few big fixes coming through this week, including improved multiplayer creature hitboxes, especially when you play on dedicated servers, and some fixes for deep ore vein duplication on the Prometheus map. We're also discussing the new content coming next week, which will be in addition to the new signs we added 2 weeks ago, week 176. First of all, a couple of notable improvements. We fixed an issue with creature deterrence that was preventing them from repelling creatures correctly. Yes, I have seen this indeed. Somehow
Yeah,
creature deterrents seem to have lost their effect,
I
especially
recall.
notable on the tier 4 one.
Well, I know that I'm not sure when that happened, but the last time we played, I did notice far less of the Dreadwing spawns around the base. So it must have been implemented after the
Yeah.
last time I played,
Yeah,
which
no,
was quite
this
some time
this
ago.
issue popped up like 1 or 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Okay, cool.
And yes, I've seen it as well. Like I said, especially on the tier 4 ones, because they have the big range,
Biggest range, yeah.
and animals were just walking into the area of effect, area
Yeah.
of non-effect. So now they should be working again, which is good, because there were quite a lot of people complaining about it. Like, hey, I have creature deterrents around my base, and still my base is getting attacked by animals. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's fixed now.
Good, good.
Fix an issue with the equipment resupply button, meaning it could only be used once per mission. This was incorrect. It's now fixed so it can be used multiple times. Now,
Equipment resupply.
yeah, so if you do an operation
Mm-hmm.
and like it brings you down a part with a radar in it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go out, you scan, you have to defend the radar. Obviously, now if the radar breaks, you can
Mm-hmm.
request a resupply part, which comes
Oh.
down with like 3 radars or so in. So you can grab one of those and you can continue your operation. Losing the
Mm-hmm.
radar will not automatically cause you to
Lose the
like
mission.
have to abandon the operation.
Interesting.
Um, Luckily, I don't need it that often. I have needed it once or twice, relatively recently though. And indeed, I did notice I could only call it down once. So
Well, I
the radar
don't
got
see a.
destroyed. I called down
Yeah,
a supply pod. I grabbed the radars from there, put one on my own bag, one in the mount, so I had a spare with me.
yeah,
The next scan point, I lost another radar. I could
yeah.
not use the resupply anymore. I did not have to run all the way back to the first spot though, because I had a spare one with me.
Mount. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like it's a very niche scenario, which it would be a problem, but I really didn't have that big of a problem where you would fail the mission physically because you lost something, in the sense that like your body floating 20 miles above the planet Earth, floating with the quest item, where we were like, yep, well, you have it, or your body has it. So
Yep.
that's the end of this mission. We're abandoning it. I honestly didn't feel that was such a major issue that they had to alter gameplay for it.
True, but
because
at some
it
point they
just
did add this
decreases.
whole resupply pod thingy.
Yeah. Well, it just made it more difficult previously where it's like, yeah, take
True.
care of it. Now, obviously, sensors don't have, or scanners don't have the most HP, so if a bear decides to swat it, that it would obviously, maybe fail the objective where you would need to go fetch the scanner and then put it down and redo it kind of thing, which would also be an interesting
Yeah.
farming scenario, but it's okay. It sounds, having it once, doing it multiple times, sure thing. Great.
Especially if you're like 3 hours into the mission and then the
Yeah,
radar gets
yeah,
destroyed and you have to abandon the mission, is a tad
yeah.
annoying.
No, of course, but like I said, you can't hold everyone's hand.
True,
That's all I'm saying.
definitely true. But it was an issue,
It was a bug.
and
It
this
was intended
wanted,
to do multiple
and I
times,
was
so
happy they had the equipment resupply, and I was lucky I had one spare with me. Otherwise, I would have had to run all the way back, and then if you lose all three of them, then you have to
abandon, yeah.
abandon anyway. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
true.
that didn't happen.
Oh,
Anyway,
carry on.
the escape menu now also closes after using the unstuck command. Is a quality of life
Yeah, that
improvement.
that's actually, I recall that. That's actually not a bad. That's not that bad one. Yeah.
So escape, press unstuck, and it automatically closes the escape
Closes
button.
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because you get
exactly.
dropped right next to a bear, and
Yeah.
in the
Escape.
time it takes you to like close the
Yeah.
escape menu, you lose half your health already.
Yeah. And then the solo pause feature.
Solo pause feature this week. We have introduced a true pause feature for solo play. This is a long requested quality of life improvement, especially, well, exclusively for those who often play alone.
Now, I mean, I wouldn't say that, I mean, the whole purpose of the game was to be kind of a fluid open world experience where it persists and kind of, or, things carry on. And even when you go into the crafting menu, things carry on doing things. So the concept of pausing the
To an
game
extent,
wasn't really something that was on my wanting list, not even close.
no, but
So,
like crafting doesn't continue during the night, for
no,
example. You sleep the night, crafting doesn't jump forward
I
like
know,
Valheim does, but
no,
but
of
this is
course, but
more like if you need to go for a quick bio break, you don't want to run the risk of getting mauled by animals whilst you're on the toilet.
no, that's also true. But we would just use a totem, or you would hire. Well, even base wouldn't be 100% secure, but
True.
I never really wanted it. But if people requested it, then great. The
Yep.
feature is now being implemented. So
Well, I mean, I'm just getting to a place safe when I go out for a quick smoke break, but
yeah.
so
But you're like you said, dedicated servers don't benefit
yeah.
from this. So
So we do understand real life can interrupt gameplay, and this feature, this solo pause feature, ensures you won't have to worry about a swarm of creatures approaching while you're away from the screen. Now this functionality is exclusive to single player session. It does not apply to multiplayer or dedicated servers. So even when you play solo on a dedicated server, you cannot use this function. So just get somewhere safe if you need to take a quick break. Now pressing escape in a solo game will pause the session entirely. Enemies will stop moving, health, food, water no longer deplete. Items will stop crafting and in-game time will completely freeze as well. Now implementing a proper pause system wasn't something we could flip on. It required a detailed review of multiple game systems and mechanics to ensure everything would behave correctly without introducing bugs or breaking core gameplay. We've wanted to include this for some time, and we took extra care to do it right. Something I agree on. First time right, better take a bit more time and
Mhm.
iron out the bugs before introducing the functionality into the game. Now to make this work we had to examine every system, both custom built and those from the underlying engine, to ensure they respected a paused state. This meant ensuring everything was built around delta time, the variable time between frames, since a pause effectively halts that flow to prevent any interactions from taking place. So next to delta data, we now also have delta time. Delta time is a fundamental concept in game development. It ensures consistent and fair experiences regardless of a player's frame rate. Frame rates can vary from moment to moment due to hardware or software conditions. By scaling work, like crafting progress or resource depletion, based on delta time, the game ensures a consistent experience for all players. Now take crafting for example. Crafting takes time. Some items may take 5 seconds, others 30. Now consider two players. James running the game at 30 FPS and Rebecca at 60 FPS. If we increase crafting progress by 1 unit per frame, Rebecca's crafts would complete twice as fast. By instead scaling progress by delta time, both players experience the same intended crafting duration. So yeah, I'm glad they do it based on time and not based on frames. I mean,
True.
otherwise you would have had me craft everything, whilst you just sit back and relax.
No, I want the XP, you XP farming person. Such greed has never been heard before.
No,
But
but
yes,
if
it
my
would be
crafting would
crafting.
be three
Oh,
times
yeah,
as
true.
fast as yours,
Yeah, no, it's my XP. I'll craft. But yeah, I understand what you mean. But yeah, usually I would just look at the floor then, and then just, oh, this is a nice piece of wood, and then have my
I mean,
frames
you can
spike.
go out and do some hunting or some planting or farming, whilst I do the crafting because my system is crafting faster.
Mm,
It's nah. I'm glad they do it based on time and not
well,
based on frames.
but that's the thing. So, but it's an interesting statement
Uh,
that they have coming up. So,
so there are notable examples in game history where systems weren't designed this way. For instance, in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the physics engine was tied to the frame rate. Running the frame above 60 FPS could cause the player to move faster and physics objects to behave unpredictably. Think
flying
flying
cards.
cars
Yeah.
and launched NPCs.
Yep, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was a good game.
So
I
you
still enjoy
basically
it.
you break the game by playing it on a good rig.
It wasn't that bad, but you could also just enable VSync or something similar. But it wasn't noticeable when I played it. But yet again, it doesn't matter.
Now, we'd love your feedback. Let us know if you encounter any issues with this solo pause or edge cases in future upvotes. Next one, multiplayer NPC hitbox fix. This is something we have talked about before and complained about before,
Well,
where there
I'm the
is
one
like
that
basically
complains about it.
the desync between server and
Yep,
client.
correct. But not only that, way back when, even when we were still playing locally, there was still slight hitbox issues on the bare heads or something similar where you believe the shot should have or would have or hit a certain part and then just clipping through or hitting something else, like the non-critical part, because you shot him in the face, but there was no crits, these types of things. So we'll definitely see, but let's see what they say about
This
it.
is very noticeable on things like visits.
Yeah.
They have the crit on the heads. Now,
Hmm.
if they stood up vertical, their heads were obviously higher. So you shoot them in the head, and it's basically clipping through. You shoot
Yeah.
them in the belly, and all of a sudden you get a crit.
Yes. So,
And I've seen this on Arid Stalkers and Snowwalkers as well,
well,
where
let's
the
go.
crit box wasn't where it was supposed to be. Now they have a fix for this in this week.
Oh, let's see what they're stating.
So we're currently trailing an improvement that will enhance the experience for players connecting to dedicated servers or friend-host games. This update ensures that creature animations are entirely played on the server while in combat, regardless of their visibility or distance from the host. So basically the animation you see is calculated on the same rig as where the actual hits are being registered, being the host,
Hmm.
from however it is. Instead of the animations being on the client and like shots being calculated on the host, and then there can be this desync.
Discrepancy. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. We'll definitely see how it feels.
So after a thorough investigation, we discovered that early optimizations made during Icarus' development led to desynchronization issues on the client side, specifically with NPC animations and hitboxes not always aligning correctly. And yes, we have noticed this like
Repeatedly.
repeatedly, especially you, me a bit less, cause I run the dedicated server here in my own apartment, so I have
Well,
a slightly faster connection, I'd say, towards the dedicated server. But for
my
you, it
latency
was
was 30.
quite
No,
noticeable.
no. But for me, it was so even with 30 ms, which is not something that you would notice on FPS. It's just purely game side related. So, like I said, I've played many games of my decades of gameplay, and there is definitely a case in point where if you shot somewhere, you know it should have gone there, and then it
Yep.
not registering it, or the whole animation stopping and suddenly glitching back, and then glitching around you, and then it's behind you, and then that's not gameplay anyone is going to enjoy. So I'm looking forward
True.
to seeing exactly how it's going to feel when we run a enzyme geyser, for example.
Yeah.
So that will probably be the same experiment again, just
Yeah.
with the new hitboxes.
I think that's a
To the,
very good test scenario indeed.
what did they do to fix it?
So to resolve this, we have updated the animation system so that NPCs on the server and the client should be in the exact same pose during combat. This should align hitboxes, weak points and strong points and lead to a much more reliable experience for clients.
Hmm.
Internal testing and feedback from players on the experimental branch have been extremely positive so far, with a notable improvement, especially on dedicated servers. So thanks to the veterans in Discord for helping us identify and resolve this issue. And yes, I've seen the
Wow. Hmm.
comments in Discord, and people were very happy
Positive.
with
Well,
these improvements.
as per our last stream that we did the Enzyme Geezer, I was very verbal around my displeasure about the
Yep,
gameplay feeling and my warnings in relation to how that would be received if they launch a new expansion without correcting the gameplay. So
yep,
it might just have been coincidence that they were working on it, or this was a known issue and it was just my boiling point that I had to rant about it. But I shall give them my opinion during today's gameplay, whether or not it's up to my standard. And I
okay,
know that
by all
sounds quite
means.
pretentious, but I don't care about other people's opinions. I only care
True.
about my own and maybe yours and a few close friends. But I should be able to determine whether or not this is actual an improvement or if those people are just delusional. So let's see, and
We'll
but
see.
yeah,
We'll do
we'll
it.
test
We'll
it.
run Enzyme Geyser and we'll see.
There we go. And I have all the weapons in my arsenal to test it out. So
Yep.
we shall test it.
Do me one favor though. I have once again confirmed explosive ammo breaks the game, as in breaks the frame rate.
I don't use explosive ammos on Anxiety
Good.
users, so I use normal stuff.
I've tested this and with like I started a fight with like 140 FPS, and after
Yeah,
every single explosive
explosive
shotgun
shell.
round,
Hmm.
uh, it dropped in
It,
FPS, and it kept on dropping. And so you waited for a bit, and the frame rate was steady. You shot once again, and frame rate dropped and stayed steady at a new decrease rate.
did you send a bug report?
Yep. And the only way
Which,
to fix this is to restart the dedicated server process.
well, we did discover that when we fought the Hammerhead, but
Yep.
yes, we shall. I shall avoid that, like I said. But when it comes down to deep or duplication fixes,
So, deep ore duplication fix. We have resolved an issue where deep ore veins were duplicated each time a prospect was loaded. Now, this could cause veins to appear as if they had changed resources, leading to significantly bloated save file states. And the bigger the save file is, the more info is there, the bigger the blob data is, the slower your prospect becomes. It's definitely your
hmm,
performance is taking a hit there. Now, while earlier fixes made this more stable, we recently discovered a new issue with deep ore veins on the Prometheus map, introduced as part of the null sector update. Some objects were incorrectly configured during world generation, leading to this duplication. We've now addressed the root cause and added checks to prevent this from happening again. Additionally, any duplicated veins will be automatically cleaned from the player's save file when the game loads, with any attached drills
Yeah.
preserved. So they removed the duplicate
Yeah.
veins.
Hmm.
Drills are still in place. You might have to pick it up and place it back down, so
But
it
the
like
next
properly
line,
connects again. But
but the next line is the one that's going to
uh,
be interesting.
so for those with save files badly affected by this issue, the fix should have a noticeable positive effect on load times. Please
But please
note
note,
that removing duplicates may cause ore veins to revert to the resource type first located there.
yes, which
So
means that your deep
upon
veins
load,
might change.
the deep vein was, for example, oxide,
Yeah,
and after a couple of times, all of a sudden it was like copper. You were like, "Hey, copper! I need a copper." So you put down a
yes,
drill there. It's drilling
correct,
copper, and
correct.
basically every load, it was a roll of the dice. Like, is it going to be copper?
But you
Yes or
left
no?
it. We never checked it. We never checked it.
Yeah.
After you put the drill down, I've never rechecked what was being drilled
Or
versus
actually, I
what's
do.
being shown.
I keep track of the
Yeah, I know.
of the veins where we have
No,
drills
I
on.
know. But that's the thing. So after, because it might have changed from copper where the drill was in the cave to oxide, like you said, and then when I go into the cave, I just like, oh, okay, there's a drill, grab the stuff, go. So I mean, if you glance from the corner of your eye, if it was blue and you weren't expecting blue, but
Yeah,
the
where
question
where
is,
I'm more like, hey, I need copper. I check my notes. Okay, that drill is a copper drill. I go there, and
yeah.
all of a sudden it's oxide, and I'm like, hey, this
No,
is
but
not
you've already
correct.
placed the drill, for example. You only marked it when you. Oh wait, no, no,
This
no.
is
We
true.
when we came past it, we
Not.
told it what it was. So
Yeah,
it
I
was.
do tend to keep track of all the deep ore veins though, not only the
Yeah.
ones I put the drill on.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I know that we said that we found it somewhere, but it
Yeah,
would be interesting. The point is that people might have a sudden change in the resources because, as we mentioned, is that if it was suddenly changing to a coal and you're like, oh, I need coal, and you put the drill down, and it suddenly changes to uh, platinum or whatever have you, that there is a possibility that your drills might not be mining or won't be mining what you expected.
exactly. So
But it's a good fix. It's a good
do
fix.
check
Yeah,
your drills,
yeah,
and now it should remove all the duplicate ores. It should prevent duplicate ores from
yeah.
getting there. It should like prevent the creation of duplicate veins, but also it will remove the duplicate veins. So it will remove this data from your prospect file, making your prospect file smaller,
Yeah.
thus also improving the performance of your open world. Right, next week, stone signs. Next week we're releasing another set of stone signs crafted at tier 1, so players can customize their base in a new and different way. Now we had the clay brick ones 2 weeks ago or so.
Hmm.
We're gonna get new stone variants next week.
Nice.
Now your support makes these updates possible. So if you want to support the team, feel free to hit up some of the DLCs. For example, the patch bundle, which gives you the creature comforts pack with more troughs, food water troughs, some extra saddles. It gives you the pet companions pack with extra variants of cats and dogs, the actual horses, and it gives you the zebra rescue mission, the only way you can get a zebra as a mount. Or you go all out, you say, you know what, I just want it all, including all the outposts. I mean, I have it all. I have all the outposts as well. Don't use it. Don't use the outpost, but I do it to support the team. I like the game, and I like the game to continue being developed. So that's why I chose for like give me all. Well, kinda. I mean, I'm the early bagger, first cohort, so I had everything already. Most of it by default. But a couple of new things I did definitely get extra. Like, hey, I want to support them, so give me this new DLC. I'm not gonna use it, but here's some money to support development of the game.
Yep.
Keep in mind, by the way, as you have, Icarus, they do the whole DLC content in such a way only the host needs a DLC for every player to be able to use items from the DLC. This is very noticeable on the New Frontiers expansion, Prometheus map, or the Styx expansion, the Styx map. If the host has the New Frontiers DLC, he can
Mm.
start a new open world on Prometheus, and everyone, regardless whether or not you have the DLC yourself, you can join that open world. You can basically do everything there.
It does seem that the price has changed. I recall previous patch notes always checking, and the complete the set was always like 120 or 150
Probably
or something
because
ridiculous.
no
But
140 something does sound about right,
but
but
now it
they
says
had they have
77.
had the discounts in the past.
No, true, but now it says it's only 77 euros for complete the set.
Okay,
So
is your webpage logged in into Steam? So maybe
yeah,
kijk. Now complete the set is a dynamic bundle. It checks
yeah.
what do I have, what don't I
No,
have yet. If you're
no,
logged
no, I
into
know.
Steam, it says, hey, you have these DLCs already. These you
Yeah.
don't have. So if you want the complete set, you only pay for the DLCs you don't have yet.
Oh, it's because I'm on the store page in Steam.
Yes.
I've always checked the external links via your server, which always
Yes.
showed it. Ah,
That's
okay.
why. So you
Got
have
it.
like 70 something euros worth of DLCs you don't own yet.
For example, yeah, which is like the creature comforts, art decos, all those
Yeah.
types of things. But I was always just thinking, geez, I already own the game, and they still wanted like 100 and something,
No, no.
euros from me. I'm like, geez, that's a bit excessive. But now that I actually see that, oh yeah, no, I have the game and the new expansions and sticks already. So yeah, it's not as much as I originally remember. But regardless of that, we're gonna quickly hit
Yeah.
the
So
note.
new content
Yeah,
is basically the pause
pause
pause function.
and yeah, pretty much, which is
That's it.
expected. And fixes we mentioned obviously above
Uh,
related to deep ore
an
mines
invalid node in the
and
Riverlands delivery quest.
mhm,
I'm not sure which map this is in. This sounds like an Olympus one.
mhm,
Invalid node. I don't know.
mhm,
It's been a while since I did this operation, so.
doesn't matter. But basically, there was
Fix
some
mission
fixes.
equipment resupply timer going to negative
Yeah.
stage and not being usable after the first resupply. Basically, the notable
Mhm,
improvements. You can now
yeah.
use the resupply multiple times. Duplicate deep ore veins. Deep ore miners attached to incorrectly duplicated deep ore veins are now attached to the nearest valid ore vein on prospect reload. So it's all of a sudden like mining the original mineral.
Mhm.
This ties in with this one. Fix for some Prometheus deep ore deposits that were getting duplicated on prospect reload. Then we go to future content. Not a whole lot here though.
Now, I do like the fact that the Rock Golem Gauntlet behavior plus damage balance tweaks. So they are still working on a couple of damage
Oh yeah.
tweaks or feeling of the game, and also
Uh,
obviously,
I have I have access to Discord channel talking about the whole Great Hunt stuff,
yeah,
which
I
is in
imagine there's a lot
closed
of
beta
balancing.
testing, and they are
Yeah,
working very hard on the Great Hunts.
yeah. And then improve projectile hit registration for clients when attacking NPCs, especially on
Yeah,
dedicated servers. So this is
the
partially, I'm assuming, also
hitbox sync.
fixed, but it might also be further improvements because they did state on the actual thing that we're currently trailing an improvement that will enhance the experience. So it isn't, oh, there's the fix, it's all done and dusted, and please don't
Well,
ask us about it again. It's still sort of being worked on
yeah, they do
and
have a fix, and
improved.
hey, if you find some problems with the fix,
Hmm.
etc., do tell them in future upvote.
No, yeah, of course, but there's obviously going to be different hitboxes for different creatures, and perhaps
Yeah,
not it was applied for everything, so realistically there could still be changes.
yeah.
But yeah, that's
This is
pretty
an
much what I
interesting
got from
one.
the feature content. Yeah,
Updating the ABLab text to Chrissy's suggestion. So they're actually listening to the suggestions from the closed beta testers.
nice.
Also giving that prospectors correct ammo types for the guns they are holding. Yeah, if a dead prospector is holding a submachine gun, you
Yeah,
don't expect
pistol.
to have crude ammo.
Exactly. A bow, a crossbolt bow. So
for
a
example.
bolt. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
So
correct. Yeah. And that's about it.
that's about it
So
for the patch notes.
going to give it a few minutes and then go straight into gameplay, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's 12 to the hour, so we take a 12-minute break and then we go start our gameplay.
Yep.
Alrighty, I'm gonna do the stream outro and I'll back with you in a sec. So, those were the weekly patch notes. Thank you folks for being here. I'm gonna stop the stream and we're gonna start a new stream in about 12 minutes and we will be testing out definitely the multiplayer hitboxes. We're gonna run Enzyme Geyser and we will continue our storyline missions because you know I want to have them done as much as possible before Great Hunt drops. So thank you folks for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good time and I hope I will see you folks